Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. My name is Sarah Whitty. I am a worship assistant with our worship council, and I'm so glad to be greeting you this morning. A warm welcome to everyone who made it here today, and to those who got on Zoom. Thanks for being here, too. At First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace the community, and to engage the world as spiritual seekers. We take these words to heart. If this is your first time to our congregation, you're very welcome. If you'd like, you could please fill out the form, which is in the pew rack in front of you, put it in the collection plate when it comes around, and that way we can connect you with news of what's coming up. We'll send you an email on Friday called Channels, and to let you know what else is going on. If you're here with a young child who would like to play in a room with toys and games, there's a nursery at the end of this hall on the left, and it's staffed, so you're welcome to take anyone down there. Before our service begins, I have a couple of announcements, quickies. Number one, Reverend Hillary is out of the pulpit this morning. She has one Sunday off each month, and so we're welcoming Kai Fast to our pulpit. Kai is usually known as Baba, who sits next to Arwen right there. She's also an architect with a specialty in energy efficient buildings. And I never know what Kai's going to say, but after having heard you a few times, I have faith. I feel good about this. And I like sermons where you don't exactly know where it's going. I've discovered that over the years. I don't want somebody to say, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it. I'd rather have kind of like, where's she going with this? So, welcome to this special time with Kai. Please see your, number two is pots on the picnic table. We are having a plant swap next week, indoor or outdoor plants. You're welcome to bring something over, and if you need a pot, grab one from the picnic tables out front. That's part of our flower communion, is sort of a plant swap. It's in the same spirit. And please see your Sunday morning news insert for everything that's coming up in the next few weeks, as well as for plans for the summer worship in August. We're going to get together at 9:30 on Sundays in August. July is for whatever else you need in your life, right? Tide pools, books, family, sleep. So we'll be back in August. With simple summer services. Should be nice. And now I invite us all to take a deep breath to really be here. And we'll settle into this time together, and our music director, Sam Chandler, will play us into worship. We are called to worship by the words of Nikita Gill. One day, when you wake up, you will find you've become a forest. You've grown roots and found strength in them that no one thought you had. You have become stronger and more beautiful, full of life-giving qualities. You have learned to take all the negativity around you and turn it into oxygen for easy breathing. A host of wild creatures live inside you, and you call them stories. A variety of beautiful birds nest inside your mind, and you call them memories. You have become an incredible, self-sustaining thing of epic proportions. And you should be so proud of yourself for how far you have come from the seeds of who you used to be. By Nikita Gill. Let's join our voices with our first hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. Please rise in body or spirit. Please remain standing, and we will join in our unison affirmation printed inside your order of worship. We are united in seeking to increase love with justice and to constitute a free church, open to all people, mindful of our past and drawing upon modern knowledge. We respond to the spiritual needs of persons and are devoted to the common good in community, nation, and world. We cherish the integrity of each individual and search for truth with reason as our guide. We respect differences of opinion and strive to be a democratic community. We are concerned with this world and open to the future. Thank you. You can sit down. I'm going to light our chalice, which is a symbol of Unitarian Universalist peace and friendship around the world. Would anyone like to help? Of any age? No pressure. John. Yeah, yeah, that's the way. Would you like to blow out the candle too? Okay. Okay, you remember the words?
Pretty much.
Okay. Everybody, give John a little help here. We light our chalice in peace and friendship. It's beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful. Want this? Okay.
So soon, toward the end of June, the Unitarian Universalist Association will be holding their General Assembly, where UUs from across the country gather to discuss big ideas, learn new things, and to vote. This year, there will be a vote to move away from our traditional principles and to shared values. If it passes, we will have a collection of 6 shared values with love at the center.
These shared values can be hard to remember, so one of our friends, a religious educator from the Allen Avenue UU Church in Portland, taught us a handy way to remember these values.
So hold up your hands, we're gonna need them for this.
All right, bear with me because I'm also reading. Okay, the first value is transformation, so you're gonna imagine your fist is a seed. Now slowly unfurl your pointer finger like it's a sprout coming from the seed. Transformation means to adapt and change in the world and to grow spiritually. As your seed grows, it will look like the number 1. And that's how you can remember the first value, transformation.
All right, our next value is equity. So hold up 2 fingers like this, turn sideways, and it sort of looks like an equal sign. Equity means that everyone should always be treated with inherent worth and dignity. This makes people feel like equals. That's how you can remember the value of equity.
Value number 3 is pluralism. Hold up 3 fingers and imagine these fingers are 3 people with different ideas about God who might have different experiences or different cultures. Being able to hold many views at once and learn from each other is the value of pluralism.
Our next value is justice. So we're going to take our 4 fingers and curl them into a fist and hold it up high. This is a sign of strength. We need to be strong to dismantle racism and fight for justice.
Value number 5 is generosity. Hold out your hand as though you're giving someone a gift. Generosity means to share the things that you have that make a difference to others, like faith, presence, or resources.
Our next value is love. So we're going to hold up 6 fingers and use the pointer finger of one hand to trace a heart on our palm. Love is at the center of all of our values, and love is the power that holds us together.
Our 7th value is interdependence. This is just a fancy word that means we're all connected to each other. Okay, we're gonna hold up 7 fingers, and then you're gonna walk your 2 fingers to your palm. This is a little bit of a stretch. Then you're gonna kneel like your little feet on your palm, and it's almost like your little person is looking out onto the web or the lines on your palm. You see how there's different lines, almost like they make up a web of you as a human being.
Yeah, so your little person is saying, look at the web on my hand. It's like our spider web, how we're all connected. Okay, so those are our proposed UU values, but let's practice them one more time so we really learn them.
All right. Transformation, a sprout curling up to make the number 1. Transformation.
Equity, an equal sign.
Pluralism, 3 fingers representing 3 people with different ideas and beliefs.
Justice, our fists in the air.
Generosity, using our hand to give a gift.
Love, drawing a heart on our palm.
And interdependence, we're walking, and we're kneeling, then we're looking at the web.
Okay, well done. I think we got it.
And now let's use our hands again to say our children's blessing. We are Unitarian Universalists, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands.
Surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. We make space in our service for quiet contemplation and meditation. This can be a time to reflect on the events of your week, to look forward to days ahead, to offer a prayer of loving kindness, or to simply be here now in this moment. Following our time of quiet, I will ring a chime, and all will be welcome to come forward and light a candle of joy or sorrow or concern. Those on Zoom are welcome to type their joy or sorrow into the chat, and Joanna will read those aloud, and I will light a candle on your behalf, or you can light the candle, Joanna, either way. Out of respect for privacy, this time is not included in the recording of our service. But first, please join me in taking a deep, refreshing breath in, a calming breath out, and enter into this sacred time of silence. Our offering this morning will be taken and shared with Maine Rivers. In honor of World Fish Migration Day, which was yesterday, a wonderful celebration in Royal River Park, our half plate supports Maine Rivers, a Yarmouth-based organization that advocates for free-flowing rivers and works to restore native habitat. You can read more about this in your order of worship. And we give thanks for Sam, who's going to sing us a song called The Oneness of Everything by Jim Scott. And what number is that?
1052.
1052. If you're the kind of person who really needs the words for your eyeballs, it's in the teal hymnal, 1052. Thanks, Sam.
Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined, like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love, expanding the stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth ever giving, and now to maintain the harmony gives us all lives worth living, for the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined. Vast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
Please rise in body or spirit, and we'll sing in our song of thanksgiving.
From thee I receive, to thee I give. Together we share, and by this we live. From thee I receive, to thee I give. Together we share, and by this we live.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's right. There's an ant up there, by the way.
There's what?
A little ant running around.
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see it.
A reading from Reverend Erica Hewitt. I don't have anything to say.
Well, I do, but it might not be interesting to anybody.
I have secrets inside of me and struggles. I don't know if I'm ready to share them.
I want to hear what you have to say.
I want to speak of the deepest things together.
I want to hear what you dream about, what you hope for.
I want to know how you have come to arrive at this resting place along your journey.
What if I speak and you don't understand me?
I will listen and listen again until my hearing becomes my understanding.
What if I can't find the words to share the world inside of me?
I believe that wise words will emerge from you.
How can I trust you to hold my life stories, you who I might not even know?
By knowing that as I receive part of your story, I will give you part of mine.
How will this work? What will happen? What awaits us?
We can find out anything by beginning.
Let us begin to listen and trust and know one another more deeply. Hey, I'm Kai. A couple of weeks ago, my wife got up here and talked to you about sex. And I was trying to figure out how I'm going to one-up her, so today I'm going to talk to you about drugs. Not really. I thought about it, and I just couldn't quite figure it out. This month we're talking about pluralism as a community. And to be honest, I've struggled to come up with something to say to you all today. Not because I have a problem with pluralism. As an armchair ecologist, I will be the first person to say no to monoculture. I am very much on board with the notion that diversity is not only good, but it's critical. But following the path of pluralism can actually lead to some difficult places, places where you have to ask uncomfortable questions about community and connection, and how far we really are willing to go in the name of our commitment to the virtue of diversity. And that's a far more interesting conversation. So, in the interest of wrestling with the topic, today I will be painting myself into a corner with a very flawed metaphor, and then tiptoeing across the room to the door and trusting that all of you fine people will forgive the footprints I have left behind because they provide us with an interesting conversation piece. First, a story that many of you may already know. As of 1926, gray wolves disappeared from Yellowstone National Park after having been hunted to extinction in the area. When wolves first disappeared from the park, the cascade of negative consequences was devastating. Without an apex predator to keep them in check, the elk population exploded. They overgrazed the land and browsed on branches and bark until willows and other small pioneer trees all but disappeared. With small trees gone and the grasses devastated, the riverbanks grew muddy and began to erode. Small animals like rabbits no longer had enough food to eat, bears were denied their berries, and beavers could no longer build dams. Songbirds had fewer trees to perch in, pollinators had a dearth of flowers to visit. At every level of the ecosystem, disorder led to a reduction in biodiversity. When 41 wolves were reintroduced in 1994, it only took a few short years for the entire landscape to change and absent animals to return. The elk population grew smaller and more robust. There was once again enough forage for all the herbivores. With fewer elk, small trees were able to regenerate between elk visits, and with their return came the songbirds. Beavers were once again able to build their dams and all of the varied life that comes with them. When mass quantities of elk were no longer congregating in large herds along the river banks were no longer torn up and muddy from heavy hooves. The erosion of the riverbanks halted, and the water began to run clean and clear. The Yellowstone example provides a pretty clear illustration of a trophic cascade, or all the reciprocal changes in an ecosystem that happen when you add or remove a top predator. Wolves, lions, sharks. You might not want to run into any of them in a dark alley, but we need all of them to survive. Okay, fine. But what if you're the elk? Are you just supposed to be fine with this? Listen, we need everyone to make this work. I know we disagree on dietary matters, but we gotta affirm the inherent worth and dignity of that wolf creeping up on us in the bushes. You've been looking a little under the weather lately. It probably is best if we remove you from the gene pool. I mean, don't complain. It's not personal. It's just ecology. As an elk, do you simply accept that there are members of your community that are just gonna eat a certain number of your friends and family, and you just hope it's not you? That's the real reason we go to the gym, right? Those of us who go to the gym. You don't have to be the fastest. You just can't be the slowest. I live in a community with lots of people who are very different than me. Here in this church, we have pagans, Buddhists, Christians, atheists, gardeners, cat people. You have it, and we can all agree that the culture of this place is enriched by that diversity. But being a queer and trans person in America means that I never forget that some of my neighbors are voting against my right to live with dignity in this country. I am reminded by yard signs that some of my neighbors feel that genocide is justifiable under the right conditions. Every weekday, I walk my child to school, likely alongside other parents who don't believe I should be allowed to raise a child. In a few years, their children may be the ones telling my kid that it's not possible to have two moms, or that her parents are going to hell. It is easy sometimes to feel like an elk being asked to smile and stand still for the wolf stalking my flank. But wait, you say, your metaphor is flawed. Yeah, I know. This is not Yellowstone Park, and people with different opinions are not different species. But that almost makes it worse, because the predators are my own people. The call is coming from inside the house. I am a member of a species that is tearing itself apart, and I have to ask, where do the bounds of pluralism's rosy vision end? Am I truly to accept that there is a purpose and a necessity to those worldviews that strike me as predatory, just as there is purpose and necessity in the Yellowstone wolves? Is there some hidden virtue in the destruction wrought by capitalist or white supremacist theologies, or ideologies, excuse me? Maybe both words are correct, I don't know. We can talk about that later. I've been mulling this over since I agreed to do this talk. I really want to believe that the answers to all of my questions can be found in nature. There are many cases in the natural world providing the blueprint for our technology. There are lessons from the trees and all of the life that thrives within and beneath them for how to live, but I have not come across an example that helps me to understand how I should respond to a neighbor's destructive ideology. I can tell you that sometimes a wolf goes rogue and behaves in ways that are antisocial or detrimental to the healthy functioning of a pack. Wolves do not seem to accept this as a normal part of pack life, particularly when it threatens their survival. When this happens, the wolf is driven out of the pack, or even killed. In humans, I can see this attitude play out online in calls to eat the rich or punch Nazis. Certainly, there have been periods in human history when we did exactly those things. Actually, did we eat them? I'm not sure. Just, you know. But is that the answer? Do we think that's what we should do? Part of the problem is that I am hard-pressed to find a species other than humans that is so maniacally bent on its own destruction, so utterly out of touch with its place of belonging in the ecosystem and the consequences of its behavior. If we were a wolf pack, one of us would be killing all the elk in the park, stashing the corpses stacked to the ceiling in a cave somewhere, and the rest of us would be subsisting on mice and bunnies and paying the hoarder for permission to remain in Yellowstone while attacking one another about which butts we prefer to sniff. As a species, Humans could arguably be considered apex predators, and we have an enormous impact on our environment. Just over a week ago, Sherry Mitchell spoke to us about building the world we want to live in. And that wasn't just pretty words about self-development and speaking kindly to one another. Ecologically speaking, apex predators build their worlds. They are the keystone that keeps everything standing. When we as a species can learn to live peacefully as stewards, our world will blossom. And if we can't bear a life without constant ease and wealth, if we can't stop fighting long enough to repair and grow, our world will fall apart. I forgot my water. It's okay. Keep going. Oh, it's okay, Joanna. It's really fine. All right, cool. Pause. Pause. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Cocoa Beach with my family, enjoying the Florida sunshine, a warm ocean, and daily lizard hunts with Arwen. In Cocoa Beach, like just about anywhere I've been in coastal Florida, the world is made of beachside condos behind grassy dunes, concrete and asphalt, streets and parking lots leading to strip malls and fast food restaurants, peppered with palm trees and sea grapes. While I enjoy the ocean and the weather, there's only so long I can live without my bare feet touching the earth and proximity to actual trees. So on our second to last day, I took a walk inland to where I had seen an area on Google Maps that appeared to be forested. I found a grove of live oaks on the campus of a Catholic school. The grove was maybe an acre of land, an island preserved in a sea of development. I took off my shoes and sat down in the duff under one of the larger trees and tried to slow my breathing and relax my body and remember the earth. I try to talk to trees, but I will confess that I have a hard time intellectually discerning what the trees might have to say to me from my own imagination. It might not matter. The distinction might not exist. I don't know. But anyways, in that place where the early morning traffic bustled nearby, I thought about how near the destruction had come to these beautiful creatures, how the human prioritizing of commerce and pleasure had all but eradicated whatever wildlife had existed in the place, and how these ancient and wise oaks had been cut off from the underground interconnections that would have once spread all the way down the coast. I thought about a documentary that I had watched with Arwen the day before about the Florida panther and the ways that the fragmentation of habitat in Florida had all but wiped out that majestic apex predator. Maybe, once upon a time, a Florida panther had stalked through these trees, protecting them in innumerable ways, simply by existing. I thought about Palestine and billionaires and the Great Pacific Garbage Patch and the Florida panther, white supremacists and homophobes, and I asked the oak trees, my favorite teachers, how can we live in this world where the threat is all around us? How can we live when the threat is ourselves? Quietly, slowly, the words bloomed in my mind. All we can do is live. Our only hope is connection. It's a quiet and slow answer, which is the type of answer I would expect from trees. It is not fast and decisive like the snap of a wolf's jaws or the pounce of a Florida panther. It offers no instant actionable plan. It is the constant, consistent, gentle answer of a primary producer, the foundation of the trophic cascades opposite, the photosynthetic yin to the apex predator's yang. What is a tree to do? Self-destruct? A tree can live or it can die, and there is not a real choice between the two. It will live until life is no longer possible, whereupon it will die. And this doesn't seem like a revelation until you consider the life of a tree. Oak trees in particular are known for fostering tremendous diversity. There are around 2,300 species of animals and insects that are closely associated with oak trees, 300 of which only occur in oak trees, and a further 230 that are only rarely found in any other tree. They feed a wide variety of animals with their acorns and control the populations of acorn-eating mammals through coordinated variations in acorn production. Like all trees, they consume carbon dioxide, sequestering it in their wood and producing oxygen. Their roots stabilize the earth to prevent erosion. They bring us shade and comfortable treetop hideaways. Even without cutting them down, they are useful to humans for the tanning of leather and the canning of pickles. Did you know that? All of these gifts, and I'm sure countless others that I'm not aware of or don't understand or forgot about, are given to us as though by accident because trees are alive. A tree doesn't produce oxygen because it's a philanthropist. Oxygen is produced as a consequence of living. It doesn't hold the soil in place as a favor to us. That's just what happens when a plant uses roots to gather water and nutrients. The tree doesn't create shade because it noticed me getting all sweaty in the Florida sun. Shade is simply the phenomenon of leaves existing between the sun and the ground, and they do that in order to photosynthesize, the eventual result of which is acorns, which feed the forest. So when an oak tree says, "All I can do is live," what it means to say is, all I can do is give all of these gifts that build the world around me as the inevitable consequence of being alive. And as it happens, that oak tree's life is dependent on connection, the mycelial connections that bring nutrients to the roots and share nutrients between trees, the ecological connections between predator and prey that ripple through the woods to maintain the ebbing and flowing of equilibrium of a constantly changing yet stable biome. In the case of these live oaks in Cocoa Beach, the connection between a grove of magnificent gnarly trees and some people who bought a couple acres of land on which to build a church and a school. Were it not for someone somewhere, maybe 100 years ago, who said, "These trees are beautiful, let's keep them," I would not have found myself in 2024 barefoot in a druidic refuge, begging for answers about how to be alive on planet Earth. Perhaps a connection between a human being and the amber gaze of a Florida panther in a Nat Geo documentary will somehow save the magnificent predator from extinction. You know, when I think about those worldviews and ideologies that feel particularly threatening to our world, they seem to have a few values in common: fear, hate, superiority, self-protection. They are born out of profound disconnection. I don't really think we need them the way we need the wolf. I don't think that pluralism demands that we appreciate them, and though I wish we could instantly change hearts and minds and eradicate hate from the planet, the way of the oak is a slower, gentler method, a method of ever-growing connections that make certain patterns of thought obsolete. Perhaps we humans can find the connections inside ourselves between living and giving, between surviving and building, so that rather than striving for solutions and answers outside of ourselves, we can allow the gifts that are inherent in who we are to flow out of us simply because we are alive. Maybe this is how we grow connection in our communities. Is that enough? I don't know. I don't know. Like I can't quite, going off script here, you know, like we're not here to colonize the minds of people we disagree with, you know? And how can becoming more connected individuals bring more connection for those people to begin to see their place in the world? I don't know. It's what I'm looking for. But I'll leave you with the words of Jared Anderson. Some of you might know the crypto naturalist. He's on Instagram and X, I think. Twitter, whatever. He's on the internet. He writes books, poetry about nature and stuff. And he says, caring for nature isn't an act of charity. Those mountains are the iron in our blood. Those seas are the water in our skin. Those cloud-strewn skies are the breath in our lungs. Caring for nature isn't charity. It's the wisdom to push the knife away from our own tender throats. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Wise words emerged from you. We're going to close our service this morning by singing Amazing Grace, not 206, which is in your order of service, but 205 up here is the tune we more comfortably know and can belt out. So give it all you've got. Please rise in body or spirit and join in number 205.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear in the hour I first believed. Many tempters, storms, and snares I have already is the thought of saved us far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Thank you. You may be seated. How can I trust you to hold my life stories, you who I might not even know? By knowing that as I receive part of your story, I will give you part of mine. How will this work? What will happen? What awaits us? We can find out anything by beginning. Please join in our unison benediction printed in your order of worship. For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. And for those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Go in peace, and Sam will play us one more tune. Here comes the sun.